Hi, everybody. This is Alessandro Del Vecchio, and you're watching CMS TV. Rock on.
CHRIS Akin Presents, and I, of course, am Chris Akin, and anybody that has listened to me, whether it's on Classic Metal Show or CHRIS Akin Presents, knows that one of my absolute favorite bands of all time is the mighty Helloween, and I am always stoked to talk to this guy, and I'm stoked to talk to him even more now because after a very long time, they're coming back to the United States for a little run of dates. So without any further ado, the vocalist of Helloween, Mr. Michael Kiske. Michael, how are you, man?
I'm good. Hi, everybody.
Well, Michael, it is great to speak to you, man. And I got to say, man, unless I'm mistaken, it's been since 2018 since you guys played here. You know, I guess I'll start with the easy, obvious. That's probably not so easy for you. Where the hell you been?
And in what is it? Quarantine. It was weird. I mean, for us, it was especially. I mean, it was bad for every musician, for every band, for everyone who depends on audiences and people coming together. But it was for us. We just had a momentum. You know, we just started and we want to do the album, do the next tour, and it kind of squashed, destroyed it all. You know, and then you would just be sitting there. And it was actually when we played again, we did like beginning of last year. We did I think 2 shows in England, if I'm not mistaken, and we were motivated and everything. But you could tell. You could tell that was the sort of. I mean, we were okay. We could sit it out, you know, stuff. But it got you emotionally. It took a couple of shows to kind of get back to it, which was surprising because all we wanted to do was really to play again. And then, but it has affected everyone. You know, it was just a crazy kind of thing.
Sure.
And. We were glad that we could do it again and that people actually show up because we were not sure. We didn't know how scared will people be, you know. And they do show up actually even more and in some of the places even more than before. So that's great.
Sure. You know what the weird thing is probably at the beginning of it, people would show up. Like I went to a few shows early on but I didn't get too close to people, which was just the natural fear. It was, well, I'm not going to get into like a moshing situation, or I'm not going to get into a touching situation. It took a little while for it to really kind of fade away.
And also, you have to have had the virus. You know, I caught it like last summer, and I was just one day. That I felt really bad. And the next day, I actually did a show again, you know, and then we went home. So I did the last show. I wasn't sure if I knew I had it, but the test was still negative.
Sure.
It took a while until it was positive. Really, I need to have like a runny nose. That was when the test was positive. And I think that changes everything when you've had it once and it's like the vast majority is fine with it. That it was a lot. Area going down, but it's like for the individual, it was not really. I mean, especially when you had the last version of it, it was the Omicron stuff. It's like so harmless, doesn't even go very deep. But I think that helps to feel comfortable again. It's like after that, everybody had it, including the management, vaccinated or not, didn't matter. Same thing. And then we toured like a longer bit, which was about a bit over 5 weeks or something. We played Europe, like everything in Europe, and then we did the last, I think, 2 or 3 weeks in South America. No protection, meeting hundreds of people. I'm 100% sure we got in touch with the virus a few times, but nothing happened. I think we're good now.
Well, that's great. I mean, it is great. And the real tragedy, and you mentioned it earlier, is you guys had so much momentum going in with the Pumpkins United. I think was received better than you guys could have even imagined that it would.
Better than ever. We also played bigger places than ever in our careers.
Sure.
And it's the same. I mean, people have these ideas about the 80s, but we were successful, and we caused some waves, but we're never as big as Iron Maiden or something like that. And now we play way bigger places than before, which is really cool.
Yeah. You mentioned that. I want to point to one show, and I only watched it online, but I watched you guys' Wacken performance. That is, now, as somebody that has seen the band several times over the years, that's by far the best performance of Helloween I've ever seen. What?
You mean Wacken?
Yeah, Wacken. Yeah.
Yeah, we did something that was really, really like adding to the quality. We did not give the sound out of our hands.
Right.
We had our sound guy there. Normally they don't do that. So we want to have our sound guy there, and he knew what was going on. That's why it sounded so good. We didn't give that out of our hands, and it was amazing. Honestly, it's like it's very. I don't know if you've ever been on a stage the energy that comes from an audience that likes you, this positive. It was, honestly, I'm not over dramatizing. I did not even know the next day. Did we play a little time?
Wow.
Some songs were just gone because you're almost in a hypnotic state or something like that. That's just amazing. It's really hard to describe for anyone who doesn't experience that. When you and it makes a huge difference if it's your audience, if it's people that, like, at least the majority likes to see you and it's positive. The energy is just amazing.
Sure.
You can get addicted to that.
I don't doubt it. And especially playing a show like that with 100,000 people in front of you, that's just insanity.
Yeah, and you knew that they were on your side, because on Tail, for instance, I was telling them to switch on their flashlights, and it was all the way to the back.
Wow.
Like, completely. It's like everybody was on it. And that was amazing.
That's so cool. Well, Michael, I do want to go back to when this idea came together, which, believe it or not, is almost 10 years ago at this point. It's amazing. Yeah. I've been around a lot of singers. To know that I know you're going to probably tell me everything went smooth, everything was fine, but I have to think that there was some discussion, or maybe not arguing, but quibbling about who's going to sing this part and who's going to sing that part. Was there?
That was actually the most exciting thing about this Pumpkins United thing, because there was a lot of insecurities. Of course, we just didn't. Sure. It took a long time until we even decided, let's give it a try, because you just don't know if people get along. It's like I had to get clear with Mikey, which was very easy because he's a completely different person today. Sure. Me too, but he's like the opposite of arguments or fights. He just wants to have a good time, wants to smoke a cigarette. He doesn't give a fuck, Right. And he was really like in the cuddle mode when I met him the first time. So that was easily to be fixed and get out of the way. But then I had to get to know Andy, whom I didn't know. I had never met personally. So I flew over. It was all done, organized by the management, because Jan, our manager, said, if you guys don't get along, it doesn't make sense. So you have to spend time together. So I flew over to Tenerife, and I spent like 2 weeks with him, and it was almost like we knew each other. Okay. I'm not saying that. I know it's like when bands do things like that, there's always almost like part of the promotion to, it was so great, amazing.
Right.
The best record we did. I don't do that. What I'm telling you is the truth. He said to me, we're also talking spiritual things. I'm a very I don't care about religions, but I'm very spiritual. I believe in the bigger picture and the higher good. And there was a moment where you said, I either know you from a previous life or you mirror something from you, because we were just connecting. And that was the moment where we knew this can really work.
Sure.
And we have that. We even hang out privately.
Okay.
We really became friends. It's like when we rehearse, like in Karlsruhe, I'm like almost every time that the time fits, we if he doesn't have anything else to do, we sit together, drink a coffee or eat together or stuff like that. We spend time together even if we don't have to. So it's really perfect, and I think it shows on stage. And when it comes to sharing the parts, I honestly tell you, there was no ego going on. In the same, especially when we did the album. I mean, there was no ego going on anyway, because we have these songs that were usually sung by him or by me. And the natural thing is to have the original singer sing it, but we find it exciting to also do duets or switch some stuff and stuff like that. But we do that just, the way it feels good. But when it comes to arranging the vocals, and he will tell you the same thing, because it was the situation there was no ego thing going on. We had Dennis Ward kind of pre-designing or giving like a pre-draft of what he thinks what could work. So he said, that sounds like Michael, that sounds like Andy. And that was our kind of blueprint. It was not written in stone, but that was, we tried that. And if I felt like that evening, I usually sing more like the afternoon or early in the evening. When I tried something out and I wasn't very happy with it, I either did it again the next day, or I told him, why don't you give it a try? Maybe that's more your kind of thing. And the other thing happened too, when he felt like he should also give that part a try. It was all just about the songs. Right. It was not about ego. It was just what works best and who does the singer shine the best and feels the best at home. And that's the way it should be. It was really, really good. And it was, people always think, because it's natural to think that it's difficult, because usually musicians have big egos and stuff. We do have our egos, but it was certainly not in the way at all. It worked very smoothly.
Did you think going in, one of two things? Did you think, and I mean, this is kind of an irrational thought, but it's one that I imagine you guys probably had. Did you wonder if A, fans would accept you coming back, or B, would kind of not like Andy anymore because you were coming back?
It was pretty clear that you have these two, sections. Andy has certainly won his own fans with Helloween over the years.
Sure.
I had mine, especially from the Keeper years. It was obvious that there will be the Andy guys and the Kiske guys. But the way we did it, I do have the impression that we were able to bring the message across that this is a unity. We do this together. There is no competition. And nowadays, especially the last tours we did after the pandemic, I think it's even more feels like that they have accepted this with 2.5 singers, and that we're together in this and enjoy it. So that's actually the impression that I have, that in the early with the first tour we did, it felt a little more separated. They were all very positive, but but you could tell. Maybe it's just subjective. Maybe it isn't even true, but it feels like that since now a few years have passed, and we even did an album with both singers, that everybody has understood that that's the band now, and we're so different too. Right, we sound very different. So there's another reason why there is no competition. He does something that I can't do, and vice versa. It's like with Kiss. They have Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley. They sound not alike. And it doesn't matter. You will notice right away who's who. And that's how I see it with us now,
Absolutely. I'm just curious. This has nothing to do with anything we're talking about, but obviously your ultimate claim to fame is the Keepers records, the 7 keys. What did you think of Keepers 3?
I didn't hear it.
Really?
I never heard it. I just, unless we played something from it. I was really intentionally, because I was so frustrated. I was just so disappointed that I was kind of ignoring everything. I was not only ignoring what Helloween was doing, I was ignoring the whole music scene for years. Didn't want to have anything to do with it. And so I don't really know. I know some of the stuff I like a lot. I was listening to the acoustic album they did. I think it's amazing.
Yeah.
Really good. They gave the songs a whole different vibe. Might not be what some fans will have expected, but it doesn't matter. It stands for a statement, a creative statement that I think is really important, really good. I love a whole bunch of songs, especially songs that Andy Derailed has written. I think he writes really good stuff. He just knows how to do that, you know.
Absolutely.
I wasn't. I mean, that was the time with the Keeper 3 where I was ignoring it. I was just ignoring it. I don't even know if I know any song of it.
Right. Well, that makes sense. I mean, you know, it makes sense because you would go into it with the well, this doesn't sound like what I did. It doesn't fit the mold. You know, you wrote so much of that it wouldn't feel right to you, I would imagine.
We should have done Keeper 3. I think one of the biggest mistakes Kai has ever done is to leave the band. But because when Kai left the band, the whole spirit wasn't the same. It's you know, Roland is a great guitar player. There's no doubt about it. He can write songs and everything, but he's a different person. And when you exchange an individual, it can change everything. And I think it did. It was just something. It wasn't good for the band when he left, and I think it was the greatest mistake he could have done. Just imagine he would have continued, you know, with Keeper 3 and whatever this band sounded like in those days, just naturally developing on that. I think we would be somewhere completely different today. You know, it was the thing was ended before it really unfolded. You know, we were still babies. I cannot hear myself singing on Keeper 1. I want to redo it all because it sounds like a baby. Keeper 2 is better. I like the energy. I still think I could do some things better, but I can live with it. And the album has a great energy and is really fearless and stuff. But I think the next one would have been the one.
Right. Well, maybe maybe Keeper 4 is on the horizon. Maybe.
Yeah. I mean, the first record, you know, like doing a live thing with 7 people is something you work yourself into, and then you feel comfortable, which took a little while. You know, it took a little while to really settle in with this new bunch of people being in this band. And the first record was the same kind of thing. We just started to work together, and I'm pretty sure anything that we're going to do in the future will be much more, I don't know, we'll be having a different quality just because we've been doing this now for a while. There's no insecurity anymore. We know each other. We know how to deal with each other pretty much. And would be interesting. I mean, I can just tell you that Kai, for instance, who was not doing too much on the last record, he did a killer song with Skyfall, which is also quite long, and so it stands for 3. But he has actually already 4 songs.
Okay, great.
And he had sent me one because he wanted me to tell him what I feel about it because he wasn't sure, which sounds a bit like Queen. You know, it has piano and it's very musical, and then it gets rock sound like with lots of choirs. I loved it. You know, I would do it right away. I'm not scared of. We were actually never scared of doing anything as long as it is cool and it's fun and it feels right. You know, right. And when you look at the bandwidth of this band, it's pretty big. I mean, when you look at all the records, I mean, maybe Queen is an example. I'm not comparing us to Queen
right.
in terms of quality, but they had a pretty wide range of styles too. You know, from pop to pretty heavy rock songs, and I think with us it's even more like that, from acoustic to speed metal. You know, like it's a pretty wide range. So there's really nothing we can't do. To be honest.
No, I totally agree. Well, Michael, man, it's always great keep catching up with you. Helloween is going to be here in the States for what, 10, 12 shows? 13 shows, and I'm just going to say, if you live anywhere near it, you better go see it, because God knows when we're going to get you guys again. It's taken 5 years to get you this time. So go check them out. Where should we send people online to keep up with you and get the tour dates and all that, Michael?
Yeah. You asked me where?
Yeah, where?
I haven't got a clue. I just don't know. Probably the official site.
Right. Go to Google. How's that? Go to Google, type in Helloween.
Like, I'm a lot in the internet, but not so much like Googling our own stuff. You know,
right.
Like I'm much more avoiding this. But people should show up, because it's like America is a completely different market. You just never know how things work out. I mean, we do this a bit bigger now because it was so great last time. The last time was really just a try, and the way it goes now will have an effect, of course, on how we come the next time. You know.
Right on. Well, one more time, Helloween on tour here in the States, 13 shows. Make sure you go to them. And Michael Kiske, thanks so much for joining me here on Chris Akin Presents.
Yeah, thank you, man. Thanks for your support and thanks for your interest.
Absolutely.